Hello guys, welcome to the Scaling Experts universe. My dear scaling experts, it is Sunday morning reaction time and we're gonna look at one of the videos that been suggested by YouTube, and this one is called No BS Advice to Get Rich in the Next 10 Years. And this is a really puzzling headline that we cannot avoid to watch and react on it. It's go time. If I only would find the play button.
And keeping it. Number one, passive income is a lie. If you think about how money is made, you make money during time because every minute we're alive, a minute passes, time passes, and we make money over that time period, which means every single person on planet Earth has a dollars per hour that they make. And so it's not that passive income doesn't exist just as much as active income doesn't exist. It's a spectrum where it's how active is it or how passive is the activity that I'm doing relative to the time that I'm investing. And so I would eliminate active versus passive and simply say, what is my return on time or how much do I make per hour?
Well, that's typical, like our Alex homie. You know how he takes these buzzwords that are so like standardized, taking as common sense in the World Wide Net, and then he sort of like gives it a different perspective, such that he provides you with kind of like a unique value, you know, towards a topic, giving you a different angle than another 1,000 videos that you may already have watched, because that's the reason why you watching now my video and why I've been suggested this video, so I can watch more on the same topic. And that's how we are all in our bubbles. This is exactly what the social media platforms want, and so he's trying to peek into these bubbles and then giving you to the same topics that everybody else is talking about already, different perspectives, and that's how he makes his videos slightly more interesting as compared to his competitors' videos. And he's doing that like on an ongoing basis, and such that he's getting a little bit more views than anybody else. This is how he beats the algorithm of YouTube and all the other social media.
It's just that most people get really scared of that because like, no one should trade their hours for money. Everyone trades their hours for money. It's just that when they receive the money, it's just not denoted in hours. And so I think there's two downstream impacts in terms of changing your behavior around this that I had to apply. Number one is that I was obsessed with trying to find quick, easy, low, effort money things. And so I ended up spending tons of money on things that I was obsessed with, hoping would cost me no time to make, and I would put not nearly enough time to the things I was actively making money with and thinking, how could I just make my active income significantly higher? And I would get obsessed with the idea that everything I did actively had to be scalable or it wasn't worth it. Because if it's not scalable...
Honestly, just going back to that last thing, I slightly disagree with that. Sorry, I'm not a multi-trillionaire like you, my dear Hormozi, but I slightly disagree with that, because there are ways, methods of income that are truly passive. Basically, best example for that, I once had like a savings plan, like when, we have this in Europe, we have this German trading platform, it's called Trade Republic. It's a very good one, and you can put like free of charge saving, automized saving plans in there. So that one was like 50 euros every month into, I think it was Nvidia, which skyrocketed. But only the past 2 years. I had this for quite a long time, and wasn't there like several years, and I totally forgot about that because I had so many other things, and I was like scaling my own business, and I was like totally in a tunnel, and I totally forgot about that thing. Another thing which goes back like even I think 15 years, which was like a German LBS, so savings account specifically to then put and invest into real estate. And I totally forgot about that as well, like that I even had it basically. It was just I think every month was like 120 euros or something. And over some time, then you get interest. And so, that's like kind of like, if you have like some stock, whatever, you could potentially forget about it totally, entirely, that it even exists. Yeah. Cryptocurrencies. So some of the guys bought like a Bitcoin and totally forgot about it and stuff like that, and then even forgot about their passwords. That's bad luck. But then maybe they find the password again, imagine, and then 20 years later this Bitcoin is like 60 grand, and I bought maybe for 100 euros or something, or $100. So that would be truly passive income, because there was no time, not even a second spent, and there was a return. Let's say you forgot this Bitcoin for 5 years or something, just bought it. There was one effort, like you hit the button, you bought it, and then so that's like truly passive income, that it does exist. And so what he says here, I'm really sorry, but we are in a free world. Despite the fact you are like a super trillionaire, I would disagree on this point. But he probably, which isn't saying, but I'm just trying to read between the lines, he's probably talking about the entrepreneurs. So everything that has to do with entrepreneurship, and not so much with like just like investing into stocks and Bitcoins or whatever, So when he says like this thing, like I already knew is coming, you remember, like, there is no such thing as passive income. There is. And it's not so much real estate, because you need a lot of real estate to have like in order to pay a lot of gardeners and managers and I don't know who else, like lawyers and everything, who take care of all this real estate. So real estate passive to be, a lot of people, it's a huge business, like also teaching and coaching other people, like, okay, real estate is a passive income. I don't disagree with that either, because it's like, there's always something. I have like a fairly old piece of real estate in Germany, and there's always something falling apart, like you need to repair. It's like an old car, even sometimes a new car needs to repair. And then you always need to like so many, so in my eyes, like there are truly passive ways of income, which is like, such as like a stock you buy and forget for 20 years. That's passive income. And it went up like 1,000%. Because per definition, I didn't put a single second of my time in. So, yeah. So that's my opinion on that. Let's see, because we only like 1 minute 45 and already talking like 10 minutes. But you see, like, I'm getting emotional about this topic. It's like a really, really important topic for all of us.
Then why should I bother? I shouldn't trade my time for money. But if I looked at what I was making over the last year and divided it by the amount of money I made per hour, this activity was 15 times what I was averaging per hour. So I should absolutely do as many hours of that until all of my hours are that. And then I should find something else I can trade my time for that's even higher. And so if you want a very humbling experience, look at how much you made last year and then divide it by 2,000 if you want to know how much you made just in a 40-hour work week. Now, if you want to look at how much you made per actual hour of being alive, you can divide it by around 8,000, or just take that number and divide it by 4. And that's actually how much you make per hour. And so when you're looking at, is this worth my time? If it's more than that number, it probably is. And so what I should have done, and what changed for me, was that I stopped trying to invest my money from my active into trying to find more passive things, and tried to say, how do I invest my money more into my active to multiply my active that I know is working? Number 2, if you can't buy it twice, don't buy it once. Or even buy it 3 times or 4 times or 5 times over. Don't buy it once. And the way that really
So what he said, like in the past couple of minutes, in the last minute, uh, of course, yeah, and he's got a valid point in that. Although, when I'm like a normal average dude, and I think he's doing these videos for normal average dudes, I'm slightly confused with the way how he's explaining it, and he's a really good tutor, mentor. You know, that's why I also watch his videos sometimes. But with this, because then he's talking about more into passive, more into passive. I thought like there is no such thing as passive, you know. So you know he's trying to give this different angle, as I explained. Like this is his strategy to kind of like, you know, suck in views and hits and likes and everything. But that, and it's a valid method to gain lots of reach and outreach to new cold audiences and everything. But the danger with it is that he's not as clear as he maybe could be, because he's saying like there's no such thing as passive income, and then he's saying like, well, I try and put more into from active into passive and all this kind of thing. I mean, he's got a valid point, like how to calculate that and everything, but
Really shifted how I started spending money, or rather started saving money and not spending money, was when I started looking at how much time it took me to make the amount of money post-tax to buy whatever I wanted. And I remember this clear as day. I was working at Smoothie King as a blender tender, and I was making $6.75 an hour, and I had just gotten a raise from $6.25 an hour. I'm dating myself. Anyways, and while I was there, the coworkers that I had and I would always go to lunch next door at Cosi, which was like a sandwich shop. And it was like 13 bucks for a sandwich, right? And a drink and chips and whatever, right? And so I remember looking at my check, and my $6.75 an hour after taxes and fees was like $6 an hour. And I was like, man, I gave up 2 hours of my 6-hour shift every shift to go buy lunch. And I was like, I'm literally giving a third of my earning away for lunch every single day. If I knew that I had to work the first 2 hours just to get the sandwich, I don't think I'd ever make that trade. And yet I was making it every day. And then I started thinking I'd go to the mall and be like, oh, do you want a new shirt? And it was at the Gap and it was 30 bucks. And I was like, okay, well, shoot, that's a whole shift. And I was like, would I work a whole shift if someone just held up a shirt that I didn't need to do it? And I was like, I don't think I would. And so all of a sudden it started shifting how my buying happened, because I started feeling the pain.
well, what he's talking here about is like basically very strongly also like the hard, the very US like overconsumption culture. Like the UK is similar, and also other countries obviously, but which I never lived in probably and don't know as well as these countries, but because I had a lot to do with I used to have a lot of friends of these countries and I used to live there, but they definitely, the UK as well, like, you know, they get the paycheck and then they go out to the pub and to the club and to to the shopping mall. I mean, it's just like, you know, it goes, it comes and goes. It comes and goes, yeah. They don't really, they may have some savings plan, like 4K, whatever that stuff is called, and that's something similar in the UK, but apart from that, they're not huge savers. And this is probably his audience right now he's talking to, you know. And there's already, well, for example, like compared to the Germans or other countries, I mean, I think they're like on the very, very top. But they used to be in the very top of savers, you know, like the world championships of saving, you know, probably for decades and decades, Germany won that, and other countries in Europe. I mean, right now I think people just give up saving in general, because they start, even the last dude on the street like starts to understand that our currency are inflating, and it needs to, you know, the last couple of years we're having like 2022 24 right now, and the last couple of years we had like huge inflation waves, which is going down now a little bit, but the next one will probably come. And so basically, like, but he's talking about saving his consumption. He hasn't said that yet because I think he's gonna be saying it, and he's also assuming that people who watch his channel will probably understand this. But he's talking specifically to this consumption culture, like where it's like, okay, more shit, you know. And I know how they are, like, you know, they're getting like, let's say 1 unit of income, and then they're spending 1.5 unit, and that's like more or less every single month, and then on credit, and this and this and this. And this is like something he's addressing here specifically. This kind of like frugalism in consumption. And I mean, there's other countries that a lot that sort of like their tax systems also a lot are even smarter than like maybe the one of the US or the German one. For example, the Hungarian, you know, where you have like, I think the second highest VAT tax in Europe or in the world, which is basically because you're getting it back when you buy investments. Basically, if you invest as an entrepreneur, you're getting it back, but you don't get it back when you consume. Like if you go to the shopping mall and buy stupid stuff, you need to pay it and you won't get it back. So basically, what the really high VAT, the tax system, the really high VAT, it's, I think at the moment 29 or 27% in Hungary, for example, and there's another country which is slightly higher. I don't know which one, but it's basically punishing you for, but it's taking basically money off the people who are consuming a lot of things, and usually they consume a lot of bullshit, you know. So indirectly, but most of the people that don't understand, but you need to educate them maybe a little bit. So you're basically educating them. First of all, you need to educate them that they are aware of the fact that they're paying a lot of, like 1/3 of everything they buy in the supermarket or whatever, you know, goes to the government, you know, as a sort of like as a result that, okay, watch what you're buying, like, you know, clothes. Do you buy like your fifth jeans, or do you buy like I don't know, yeah. Do you go to the cinema every single day, you know, and stuff like that, or to the club and get wasted and things like that, like in the UK, like which they do all the time, and also in other countries, you know. Sorry, but yeah, basically, but on the other hand, they have one of the lowest corporate taxes in the world, yeah. So, and I think this is a really, really, really intelligent and smart thing, because they're giving, like, they're motivating like people, entrepreneurs, and they're trying to punish a little bit those consumers, you know, like they just go around and waste their money for bullshit. So basically, on the other hand, you could argue, okay, but the entire system, it depends on people consuming all the time and over-consuming. So because we have this kind of like capitalism where, like, you know, all these companies who are producing stuff and trying to sell it to the consumers, if you punish them too much, then nobody's going to buy shit anymore. And then the demand on consumer goods will go down and stuff like that. But in essence, it never does, because people don't even look through this whole thing. But anyway, if you want to become basically a follower of my channels and Ian Scaling Experts, okay, that's something you should be aware of, and maybe you're already aware of, or maybe you know it, but you're not aware of anymore. So there's like three categories. Like there's things that we know, we take for granted, but we're not aware of anymore because it's so yeah, we take it for granted so much, you know. And then there's things we know and we are aware of, and then there's things we know we are aware of, and then we act appropriately. I'm sure that Alex Hormozi also has done tons of videos regarding this topic. And there's, like, you know, it's a big difference between knowing something but actually not being aware of knowing it. Being aware of knowing it is another big difference. But a lot of people then don't act appropriately. So in this case, like consuming less and maybe founding a company and investing more, you know. That's like another step, which is like going out of your comfort zone in most cases, which people don't like, because our brain was basically educated. Now, our brain was not educated. Our brain was developed over tens of thousands of years to use the least of energy to by whatever we did, because we didn't have, like back then, 10,000 years ago, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years ago, even 500 years ago, we had we were not living in this wealth of consumer goods. Like, if you are hungry, you just need to go to the supermarket and buy something. Like, just a couple of hundred years ago, or thousands of years ago, it was limited. We had limited resources. Everybody was pretty poor compared to today, like, and only living like appropriately, like just maybe average age of humans were maybe 30-40 years or something. Even kings wouldn't become that old, because of all the living standards and everything. So basically, we always need to be careful by having only limited food and limited of everything. Everything was limited. We need always, our brain was like developed over the thousands of years to always choose the least the way of doing things that were the least, that took you the least energy. It's very common sense. And coming back to his point, basically, these days this is exactly what you need to overcome if you want to, for example, scale your business or grow or do anything new. Like, I'm aware of something of this case, and no, I need to act appropriately. I need to consume less, or I need to it's like another effort I would need to do, and our brain is basically developed in the way that it's trying us to so we anyway, so our brain is basically developed over thousands of years, which we now need to challenge that development in order to develop ourselves into a scaling expert, basically.
Associated with what it would take if I had to do that before getting the thing I was going to buy. And it completely changed my buying behavior. And to be very clear, saving money won't make you money, but saving money allows you to have money, and having money allows you to look further out. And when you look further out, you can take on bigger risks, which absolutely will make you more money. And when you're looking at the price of whatever the thing you're trying to buy is, obviously when I was a teenager looking at a shirt, I was looking at, okay, I'm making $6 an hour, a shirt's $30. But when you're an adult and you're making $100 an hour and you're looking at a $500 or $1,000 purchase, would you work 2 days in order to do that? I don't know. Would I? Probably not. And sometimes you think, hey, would I work all day for 2 days to go out with the boys for 3 hours on Saturday? I'd probably like, guys,
Well, sorry, I need to interrupt you again, because I need to explain this, because he's saying on the one hand, saving money would not make you any money, but saving money gives you money that you then can go and invest for future projects. So in the end, you're not saving the money, you're spending it just for other things, okay? And he could have said that more clearer, basically to like the average dude out there who is basically not as into these topics, would be probably by now like totally confused. I mean, I have a nephew, he's like 20 years, and he's pretty smart, but he will probably be, he watched this video a couple of days ago, and he was kind of confused, not because his English is not so good, but anyway. So basically, what he's saying is exactly what I said before. Saving money, yes, but on the consumption side. So as a private person, you go to the shopping mall, you go to the cinema, you buy like stupid shit, yeah? Saving money on this side. But for example, I had this employee, and she's always like, oh, you transferred me in working in sales for me, and she's like, oh, you transferred me this really nice bonus. Can I spend it? That's the first thing that comes into like an average employee's mind. As soon as they get their paycheck, oh, now I can spend it. Can I spend it? Spend it. Spending. And that's why they stay poor in general. This is why they never really grow, never go anywhere. And then they wonder why they only like in the end of the day, like they only have like $100 left every single month, and then they probably figure out like, well, it's not worth saving that into like anything, or educating myself with the $100, so I might as well spend that one as well on kind of like lottery or something. And this is what in essence in the large population in any country basically is happening, because they're kind of like demotivated, to go and to develop themselves, because of exactly that reason. And it's really a shame, but on the other hand, not everybody can go that way, and our systems are based on that. But to come back to what you're just saying, is like basically, okay, on the one hand he's saving, and on the other hand is like, okay, now saving doesn't make you successful, or wealthy or rich, or like, not saving doesn't make your business grow. Yet everybody is looking at the cost, so they can have more left over, so they can then reinvest to grow. Okay, so basically it's not about saving at all. It's about keeping your personal, the things that the money you spend privately as a person in check, and keep everything. For example, if you go like and do your own business and you have a business, to keep as much money as possible in the business and then reinvest, ideally 100%. If you have, like, I don't know, he's coming up with some examples where he was a fitness trainer, and he for some trainings he got some cash money, and then he only lived off that and everything he did over the business and his credit cards and everything, and he just kept it 100% in there. This is how he grew. His first fitness business, I think, exponentially. And this is exactly the point. Okay, so this video is getting better and better, and I recommend you really to watch it in full length. I did a fair bit of reaction on that. I think we're getting close to 30 minutes, and I think I gave you like an additional value with this video, like giving it from a point of view of some kind of like average, because I am also an average dude like you, probably, I'm not like a multi-trillionaire like Alex, So, okay, I made a few bucks in the past or whatever, but that's basically, I think much, and also like a European viewpoint, because there is cultural differences, although we look almost the same, and so it's not like, okay, I mean, from China, and everybody knows, like, okay, Asia is very different than to Europe, but trust me, the US and even the UK is also very different to Europe, and even within Europe we have like very, very big differences, that's really also interesting always, like to discuss this topic.
I'm not going to work for 2 days just to go have 3 hours of fun, right? That feel like I'd rather just not work the 2 days. And that was the thing, is whenever I had I'd rather just not work than do that thing, then I was like, I shouldn't buy that thing. For example, when I was poor, I only spent cash. And so my easiest way of actually creating a budget was that I had a personal training client who paid me $2,000 a month in cash. And so 100% of my money that came in through the business and credit cards and everything else is just what went into my bank account. And the only thing I knew I could live on was inside of my wallet. And so as that got replenished, and the thing is that I'm so scared with money, or I was so frugal with money, that I would always make sure that I had more than that to make it for the next payment, because sometimes the guy would take a day or two. You pay on a Wednesday rather than a Monday or whatever, and I need to make sure that I had food for Chipotle.
Yeah, okay. That's exactly the point.
Guy would take a day or two. You pay on a Wednesday rather than a Monday or whatever, and I need to make sure that I had food for Chipotle. 3, most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a year, and they underestimate what they can accomplish in a decade. And every new employee that I have that walks into acquisition.com, the number one thing that they say they want is growth. And I have this talk with them, which is the 10-year $1 million contract. But it's less about the $1 million and more about take whatever your net worth is now and add a 0 to it, or add 2 zeros to it. You can accomplish that in a decade. If you look at the biggest companies in the entire world who were worth multiple billions from their inception until the time they were worth multiple billions, many times it's under 10 years, but it's still more than 5, more than 7. And so you can accomplish life-changing, crazy amounts of wealth in a decade. And so if you could write a contract to yourself and say, I will make no money for 10 years, but on the 10th year, I will add a 0 or 2 zeros or 3 zeros to my net worth, would you do it? And if the answer is yes, which it almost invariably is with every person who comes into my business, then I say, great, now act like it. And so if you knew that you would make this amount of money over that period of time, you would stop this obsession, myself included. This is me giving my advice to myself who lost it twice. When I was able to shift to, okay, what would I have to do that would make it unreasonable that I don't 10x in 10 years? Then all of a sudden I started making very reasonable bets that I knew would compound unto itself over that period of time. And then winning became inevitable rather than a game of chance. And so oftentimes you have potential earning and then actualized earning. And usually as you're realizing the potential earning you have, you're usually losing out on your investing into that potential, right? You're realizing the potential. And that's kind of like the kid that learns one skill and then immediately says, I'm going to start a business opportunity around this one skill that makes me $5,000 a month. Or they have this one skill and say, hey, this company is willing to pay me $100,000 a year to go do this skill, where I have this other company that will give me a free internship where I could 10x my potential earning in 3 years, but I'm going to make $35,000 a year for the 3 years. Which one would you take? The problem is most people will take the $100,000 now and forego the investment in self. And that's the thing, is we are the asset that we invest in, and the currency we invest into ourselves in is time, experience, and skills. Right? Skill is the outcome. The time and the effort is what we put into it to gain the experiences, which ultimately give us the skills. But if you're in an environment where you're not compounding your potential earning, then you're actually losing out long-term. You're ripping up your $1 million or your 10x or 100x contract for a decade from now so you can get the short, fast money today. And that's why in the early days when you have limited amounts of money but lots of time and energy, instead of putting your money in the S&P 500, I like to say, put it in the SME 500. Because the asset that is you will always beat the stock market. Number 4, you should only have...
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't stop that number 3 point because that's like probably the most important thing ever. I mean, I've been, for the past 12, 13, 14 months, I've been trying to get a lot of new interns in, trying to give very young people who, quite frankly, from being so honest, who have actually... in general, no fucking idea what businesses or like what the world is all about, despite the fact they're coming from universities. Sometimes even those who like coming from very good universities sometimes know the least, because they're like basically just brainwashed and educated towards like working for corporate companies, you know. But those who apply to my companies as basically, you know, I mean, we are, you know, very small in startups and stuff, and as a startup you more or less also like depend. It's like a vice versa relationship. Now it's a give and take relationship, you know. On a startup, you, unless you have a big VC behind, you depend on very young inexpensive people who are super motivated, who are super talented with high potential, but who are willing to pay basically for nothing, like for a certain amount of time, because you don't have your business is not there yet, you know. But in return, you get not money as currency. Everybody always like, what are the benefits? What are the benefits? You know, if you ask me that question after I gave you like a super duper internship possibility to, I don't know, triple, quadruple your skill set that you actually, which in many cases is basically non-existent, you know, because they don't know shit, you know. I mean, they've been like studying for 2 years, 3 years, a master program for 2 years sometimes. So they've been studying for 5 years of their lifetime, their young lifetime, like from the age of 19 to 24, like where they have the most energy. They spend all this energy, like these young students, like into like some university program, and then they apply for an internship, and then I ask them, how much do you know about LinkedIn? Or basically, how do you know much? How much do you know about social media? And then they always answer me like, yeah, TikTok is is now in common. It's now like, you know, it's a huge trend. And no, we're talking B2B. You know, you applied for a B2B position. Yeah, it's still like TikTok is like, yeah, no, it's not TikTok. God damn it. You know, it's LinkedIn, it's Google, it's something else. Yeah, and they don't know even the very basics. So please don't ask for benefits. That they want to earn money now, because it's I could talk for hours for this topic, because it's like they've been like injected like how special they are, how good they are, how well educated they are, and when they go out, And obviously that's the selling point, the USP from these universities and schools, that they telling their students, okay, it's worth like doing all this effort, like in studying and ripping your ass off, like to passing the test and this and this and this and this, so that once you get out, you get these top-notch jobs, and like on the minute you get your first job, you earn money, and a lot of money, more money than others, and blah 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 blah, but you don't know shit. In not always, there's exceptions, but I can tell you, I personally did like interviews, at least like 500 interviews with internships in the past 12 years, because 12 months, because I really I want to know, especially with startups that we do and stuff, I really want to know. It's decisive, it's absolutely critical, the decisions you make, the people you hire, whether a startup is going to the roof or even going anywhere, or like it's like go bust before it even started, and like all your money that you invested and everything. So basically, because this is such a key aspect, there's so many things now that can be done by AI and tools and this and that, but the things that you still need people for, you should hire people for, you need to be extra careful if you're like a small company, because you have no safe haven of cash and reserves built around you, that you can basically afford to hire the wrong people. But I would never recommend anybody to hire wrong people anyway. So basically, and it's like these people, they want exactly that. They want to learn one skill and go up to 100K whatever, and then whatever. So but that's exactly the point. I mean, don't ask for money in return as payment if you don't know shit. Yeah, if you know nothing, if you're an absolute greenhorn and you apply for a company, you want to learn, don't ask for money. Don't ask for money. Don't ask for money. Yeah, ask for experience, because you are paid a shitload of money, but in the form, the currency is not like euro or dollar or yen or pound or whatever currency. The currency is time and energy and knowledge. That's the currency. Yeah, and quite frankly, there's a lot of companies now that's switching to that, such that like people who want to do a traineeship, they need to pay for the traineeship actually, and they're getting it back. Usually they're getting it back, depending on what company, what scheme it is. They're usually getting it back, especially in sales and marketing. When they're really good and they earn their first boni, then sometimes they're getting it back or something like that. So there's like all sorts of different things, but in essence, like you're paying. There's a lot of university degrees that you need to pay like a shitload of money for, and they say, oh, okay, that's okay because that's a really top-notch university. Why not pay 30 grand? But then they go to an internship to a top-notch startup, and then they want to receive money, although they're totally greenhorn, they don't know anything. So basically, and it's exactly what he says. Like a lot of people that don't see the long-term goal. And this again goes back to several thousand years ago when our brain was developed and trained to always just solve problems of tomorrow. Because we never knew how old we're gonna get. Maybe we will be eaten by the saber tiger or something like that. Our average lifespan was just 20 or 30 years or something. And so our brain was basically trained over the thousands of years to only solve problems of tomorrow. And this is why we always think like, okay, I do this job now, this internship, how much money do I get next month? How much do I get in 3 months? And they just want to have money now, which is the wrong approach to this whole thing. If you really want to become successful and wealthy one day, you should be just focusing solely on developing your skill sets and a multi skill set for like 1, 2, 3 years, and depending on how fast and how much effort you put in, you won't need much more than maybe 1 or 2 years. And there's like skill sets like sales, when you go through one of my programs, it only takes like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 months to bring you up to a level where you can do the first couple of leads yourself on your own, and then you can already start like earning commissions and stuff like that. So definitely, that's maybe the most valid point in this entire video. Watch it and watch it over again because this will be like one of the things that make you either long-term goal like super over the average wealthy and successful, or keep you like in the average pool, like in the pool of people who just like wandering around being average.
Have to get rich once. In other words, don't bet what you have and need for something you don't have and don't need. And some of the gravest mistakes I made manifested in, for example, me getting into a partnership that I shouldn't have gotten into because I wanted even more faster. Now, when you get into a partnership, which is usually the time where you put the most risk on the table, one is you guarantee the largest decrease in your earning power. You pay with the most expensive thing you have, which is equity, to somebody else. And so people get obsessive about what they're 5%, 10% later when we're making money. But day one, they're like, all right, we cut the pie in half. Oh, we cut the pie into thirds. Right up front before anything's really happened. If you work with a partner or decide to partner up with somebody, one of your friends, one of your coworkers, this is coming from somebody who has 9 failed partnerships before I met Layla, and then that has now worked, and now I have successful partnerships. A partner needs to have one of these 3 things that you do not have.
1.000 Euro pro Tag zu verdienen, ist gar nicht so unrealistisch. 1.000 Euro pro Tag sind 7.000 pro Woche oder 28.000 pro Monat.
You either have to have money that you don't have.
This motherfucker adds here. Okay. Okay, these three things, I guess you know them already. Like they're either money you don't have, knowledge that you don't have, or it gives you back time that you don't have. Yeah, so it's knowledge, money, or time, I guess.
Have, and then the clear contribution is that money. They need to have experience you don't have, and the clear contribution is that experience. Or number 3, they have time and energy that you don't have, and the clear contribution is that time and energy. And so I added that second part on, is that just because someone has experience, if they're not contributing it to the partnership clearly, then you're still not going to get the benefit from it. If they have the time and the energy, but it's not clearly defined how they're going to invest that time and energy into the things you both get in return, then it's not going to be a good partnership. And I've lost so much money in partnerships, especially early on. One of my 2 big losses was from a partner. And a big part of it was I was insecure, and I thought I just had to have somebody else because I was afraid to do it on my own. Real quick, if you're trying to make your first dollar online, you can go to school.com/.
Yeah, okay. I don't like school so much. There's like Cyclo, SOIO, whatever it's called. I like a little bit better. But anyway, so that's just like his commercial part. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely with these partnerships and everything. I was asking a lot of the times, like, with these partnerships, and like, why the hell would I take you as a partner? I don't even know you, It's like, what are you bringing in, And yeah, it's a very good topic as well. So we will continue. I need to stop right now because it's Sunday morning and I have like another shooting going on here in Munich. I'm really excited about it. A couple of new models in there. And so we're doing this like as preparation for like another bigger shooting, and as part of like a bigger marketing campaign. So check out my channel if you wanted to, and definitely I will be back with more of this topic because it's so bloody important, especially the thing with the interns and like basically becoming like this whole, there's like, yeah, whatever, people want to be like drop out of university and want to be rich instantly and stuff like that, and probably they're watching too many movies or something like that. Anyway, so see you later, alligator. Peace, and welcome you back next time when we're talking about scaling experts. Bye bye.